I've been skating the Spanky 3 Emericas for the past couple of weeks, almost a month now actually. This is the white pair with a blue accent. Obviously we're going to be talking about this specific pair. The reason I'm getting that disclaimer all the way right away is because they are leather. Some of the other shoes that Emerica makes, or Night Decker in general, a lot of the different colorways actually have different materials. So I think the black colorway, which I do have but haven't skated, is suede, so on and so forth. So you can check out their website. These actually just came out today, so I'm super hyped to kind of have the opportunity to skate them, sort of break them in, and have some thoughts for you if you're interested in picking up these bad boys. I do have a code, it's Dowdy20 if you want to get 20% off their website. With that said, let's just jump right into it. I'm going to have categories down below if you're interested in any specific areas of the shoe, like the sizing or the durability or anything like that. Go ahead and use the chapters. I have been skating them for quite a bit, so I have some thoughts on them, whether I like them, who they're for, and maybe who they're not for. So as far as sizing goes, I did get a size 10, and that's normally the shoe size that I wear. So I think they're pretty much true fit to size. Last resorts, I even half size up sometimes. I think if you have a really wide foot, then maybe consider going half size up. But overall, I think pretty much true to size. I would say the biggest complaint or gripe I had with the shoe was the break-in period, because it was really tough. The first session I actually went out was on a blistering hot day, and I just felt like the back of the shoe was actually digging in and giving me a blister. I didn't get a blister, but I felt like that might be happening. It was just like in that sort of Achilles area, I kind of felt it digging into there. But I think that's just because it was a brand new shoe. And you know, you do have to consider that this is the leather option. I think the suede shoe, you probably wouldn't have as harsh of a break-in period. By the third session, fourth session, I no longer felt this digging into my heel at all. It was never an issue. I never actually got a blister. It just felt really tight overall. The whole shoe felt really tight, not just this back zone, but overall it felt really tight and really stiff. Like I just couldn't really do all the tricks I would normally be able to do right out of the box. Some shoes you can skate them right away. I think with these shoes, I will say that is probably the biggest downfall, which isn't a big one. I'm just gonna say it is probably the biggest downfall. And again, if you didn't get the white one, or I set up maybe the other suede pair, then that wouldn't have been such an issue. So I would say as far as break-in, by the fourth, fifth session, then I had all the board control that I felt like I was ever gonna get out of this shoe. Also want to give a big shout out to Open Rock for sponsoring this video. They've been a big supporter of my channel for quite a while. In my opinion, they make some of the best headphones for skateboarders because they're really good audio, and not only are they really good audio, but they're not noise canceling. I feel like you can hear everything around you, even if you're sweating your ass off. I've been wearing these things for years, even in the high heat. I feel like overall, Open Rock does a good job of making headphones for skaters or like athletes in general, if you're a runner or anything like that. It's also nice because you can actually skate with your sunglasses on and the headphones, because they don't affect where your sunglasses sit on your ear. Or say if you had a helmet on with straps or anything like that, because of where they sit, they don't affect any like pinching or anything like that, which is pretty nice because you don't want some discomfort along with music while you're skating. Big shout out to Open Rock. Thanks for sponsoring the video. Like I said, links down below. Check these bad boys out. I'm gonna get some more skating with my shoes right now while I talk to you about them. It is nice that it has this little mesh area in the back too, which helps with some of that stiffness in the very early stages. It is a little bit of a higher tape. Obviously you have all that, and it is a Cupsole, so, and it is leather. So a lot of those things are working against you in the very beginning. But the nice part about the leather, now that I've been skating them for quite a bit, I feel like they're really strong, like keeping their structure and the shape, and they're not getting torn up really at all. And I think that's a good thing about leather in general, right? Like it's gonna suck at first, just like a leather wallet or a leather belt. Like it's gonna be stiff, it's gonna suck. But as time goes on, it's gonna get better and better and better. So at this point, these shoes are feeling really good. And like I said, it's been about a month. Next thing we can get into, since I've sort of already alluded to it, is just the durability overall of the shoe. It is a really good, in my opinion, strong shoe because it's barely torn up. I've done a lot of tray flips, or I should say, I haven't done a lot of tray flips. I've been trying a lot of tray flips. I've done quite a few kick flips and varial flips and like other flip tricks, but I guess I can get up a little closer to the screen so you can see kind of what it's looking like here. So basically the most damage is actually done up here on the top of the shoe. Probably from me just doing lean airs and stuff like that where I'm scraping that little area of the shoe. Everything is triple stitched down here, so this leather is finally starting to break away. All the actual stitching right here has come apart, which isn't too bad, and the same down here, some of the stitching has come apart. So with the exception of like some of the stitching falling apart, the leather's falling apart from the abrasion of my grip tape, and then this place right here, it's really held up super solid. Whenever I'm making these reviews or trying out different shoes, I try to do a wide range of different things. So I do try to do a lot of kick-flips, tray flips, different tricks that I probably wouldn't do on the regular basis just to put the product through the test. And this is the other shoe. On the other side, you can see a little bit coming through right here, just from flip tricks as well. Should mention that these laces are such a big improvement from the last Spanky laces in my opinion. Also, I didn't even get into the aesthetics of the shoe in the very beginning, but I do love that tongue logo, super cool. Some of the other areas is only double stitch, like in the heel and some of those accent areas, then as well as in the middle. But where you're going to be, kind of messing the shoe up the most, it is triple stitch down there, which is really nice. And the outsole has lasted pretty good. Like there's you can see where this is the foot that I would be stopping with, I believe. Or no, it's not the foot I'd be stopping with. This is the foot I'd be stopping with. So yeah, it's a little more worn down, as you can see down there in this area. Not that bad though, honestly. The one thing that I wish is that this wasn't right here. I'll get into what this is for. I learned recently what I think this is for. And as far as the actual insole of the shoe, it's floppy. Like it's paper thin. Like I can almost just probably rip right through that. It's not much. But I don't think you need to put in another insole in the shoe because it's going to get so stiff and you're going to lose even more board control, in my opinion. Maybe some people that just want to hook, if you're Chris Joslin or something, then yeah, if you're just jumping down stuff constantly, I can see why you would want another insole. But in my opinion, the sole inside of the shoe is so good that it's not really necessary. So overall, for durability on a shoe like this, which does have a lot of structure, like there is a lot of stitching and different things going on in this shoe, which normally does concern me. I think there's more areas for it to get like ripped up, or just like there's more points of contact. Essentially, it creates more possibilities for things getting messed up. It actually held really, really good. Even the laces held up really good too. This one's starting to kind of fall apart. This whole upper area is getting the most damage because of the way that I skate. Now we could talk about some of the cushioning in this shoe, which I think is one of the unique features of it. I think what they've done is a really good job on it. Honestly, I'm not big on a really puffy shoe, but I think this is a good hybrid in between like that 90s aesthetic of a skate shoe and a modern day kind of floppy, maybe Last Resort or Converse kind of shoe. Because up here, as you can see, it is pretty thick along this whole edge, which your ankle sits into. But as you go down into the shoe, I can't see it. You can't really see it. Hopefully someone will cut one open. I don't want to cut my shoes open, but down below, it's not as thick. So a lot of the padding is actually at the top, and then it gets thinner as you go down, at least in this ankle area, which I think is a really nice way to get that ankle support, board protection, everything like that. But you're not sacrificing the ability to kind of move your heels and everything like that. In the very beginning, that was kind of the case. It took some time to break in, like I said. And as far as the tongue goes, the tongue is like kind of in between too. Like it is a thicker tongue than I'm ever used to, but at the same time, it doesn't really feel like too numbing thick. Sometimes when you have a skate shoe that's like so padded that you almost like feel like you can't feel things, and some people like that. You could definitely feel it. Just have your elastic straps right there, which are really nice. Haven't had any issues with those ripping or anything like that. A lot of really good stitching around there. If anything, it was really nice when the board landed on top of my foot, doing flip tricks or even belling backside airs and stuff like that. That was the other thing. It was like when I was belling a lot on transition, like jumping from high to low, not necessarily jumping down a gap, but jumping off transition, running really quick. It was really nice to have all that extra stability. It was a big bonus of the shoe. Now we'll talk about some of the shape. Overall, I do think it is a bit of a wider shoe. Here's a bottom view. For anyone that skates maybe like a Vans or something like that, I do think that is really nice, which also helps with like the inability or support to not roll your ankle. Like there's just more foot contact to the ground, which I think is really nice. I think they sit at a really good height overall. It would be nice if there's a high top of the shoe in the future, but honestly, as someone who normally does skate high tops, I feel like there was enough ankle protection because of how high they sit. Now we'll go into some of the board feel and grip. Overall, this is a really grippy shoe. I almost feel like for me, it's actually like sometimes so hard for how grippy it is. Like I'll be running down the transition and you think you kind of need to like keep running, but it almost like jolts you and stops because it's so grippy, which could be a good thing depending on what you're looking for. So overall, I think the grip on the shoe is really good. It's held up pretty solid down below. So that outer sole, it's nice. Like the grip on this shoe, I would say it's better than the last resort shoes that I've skated in the past. And I think that's always been the biggest issue with last resort shoes. I love them. I think they're such a good shoe. The biggest issue is how fast the treads and grip runs out. These bad boys are holding up really good, and they did grip really nicely overall, all around. And obviously when you're flicking your board and stuff like that, maybe that's part of the problem too, why I couldn't tray flips, because it's gripping too good. If that ever exists, it might be in this shoe. Now the board feel is the only other thing that I definitely had to get used to, and it took some time to get used to because it is a Cupsole. But I think they did a good job of making a hybrid of a Cupsole that you still can get board control with. However, that is something that you're just going to have to sacrifice overall. It's not going to get you the same board control that a vulcanized shoe is. So yeah, this little area back here, apparently that's where all the energy releases from the bottom of the shoe. So like when you're taking that impact, instead of all that energy staying in the shoe, it has somewhere to basically exit the shoe. At least that's what I've been told, not by Emerica, but by my friend Spencer, who also skates shoes from Nidecker, Etnies, and specifically. So I do think that could be part of why I definitely felt like I just didn't get as sore with these shoes. So when it comes to comfort and support, I think this shoe is probably one of the most comfortable skate shoes that I've had in a really long time. I keep going to pick it up too. I have a lot of different skate shoes I can probably choose from. Well, not a lot. I have at least like 3 pairs that I can sort of pick from. And I always keep going to this pair. So that does, I think, speak volume for itself. I like how it looks. Obviously, it looks really good. But I also just really like how it feels. And I think that's like sometimes hard to find in skate shoes. Sometimes I really like how they look, but I don't like how they feel. Or I like how they feel, but I don't love how they look. I think they've done a really good job with making this shoe be really comfortable and look really good. Now, something that I feel like skate shoes don't consider often, or people maybe just don't talk about it very often, is the ventilation. Because when you're skating, especially where I live, and it's like 90 degrees some days, 80 degrees lately on the average day, at the very minimum, you just get swamp foot. I naturally have like really sweaty feet, and that was the biggest problem I had with the Spanky 2s. I love that shoe, but I just couldn't skate it anymore because it was just too hot, and the ventilation just practically almost didn't exist. So on this shoe, you have all these little ventilation holes right up on your toe area, which I think is really nice. And then obviously you have this mesh lining area on the inside of the shoe. And I think that helps a lot because I never felt like my feet were really hot in these shoes at all. And that is a big problem I have with a lot of different shoes. Maybe it helps that they're white, but again, they're leather. So that probably worked against me as far as like the ventilation and the heat goes. But it was really, really nice. I think ventilation on the shoe is really good. I'm not sure where else it's coming through. Maybe down here a little bit. I'm not sure. But I think just that right there, just that ventilation seems like something so simple, but it really makes a big difference when you're skating for hours on end in the heat. I do think it's kind of weird how Emerica just made a whole different shoe. Maybe there's reasons for it. I don't know. I'm not in on the business meetings or their marketing decisions, but I would have loved to have seen the Spanky 2 with improvements, but instead they made a whole different shoe. I'm not exactly sure why. I do really like this shoe. Not to say I don't like it, but I just thought that was kind of interesting. When I first saw it, I was like, oh wow, that is an entirely different shoe. But it is throwing back to like old Emerica aesthetic. It's just way different than the Spanky 2 that I was in love with, and I just wish they did a better job of ventilating that shoe. They definitely did that with this bad boy. So yeah, overall, I think this is a really amazing shoe. I'm going to keep picking it up and going on skating with it. I think it looks good, it feels good, it skates good. It is a Cupsole, which is something that took me quite a while to get used to. Like I said, the break-in time with this was a bit brutal. It did take some time, but now it's in such a good place. And I find that to be that way with a lot of products that I really do love. Normally at first it's getting used to it and getting acclimated to it, and then I ended up loving it. So yeah, I think this is a great shoe. If you're someone that wants a Cupsole, wants a shoe with a lot of padding, takes a lot of impact, and has good ventilation and looks good, I think the shoe is for you. If you're someone that likes vulcanized shoe and really wants that board control, I do think you're going to have to adapt to end up liking this shoe. It's going to be a hard transition like it was for me. So, if you're used to a Last Resort or a Converse or a shoe that's a little more floppy, less padded, not Cupsole, this shoe is going to take some getting used to. So for now, I'll continue to skate them, then eventually I'll probably break in the black pair, the blue pair that I was fortunate to have. Like I said, you can get a pair right now. They just came out today. 20% off Emerica.com with Dowdy20. Let me know if you have any questions down below. Maybe I'll do a follow-up review with the other pair.